slavery. Does that feel
I
right?
was just about to say, that's slavery. That's slavery. You took away the whips, but you put the paperwork. Took away the masters and you put them in uniform. Same difference, same difference.
It kind of appears that there is a coordinated system in order to protect the labor that's created by the prison system.
Walk into a McDonald's in Alabama, and the worker flipping your McDouble could be an incarcerated person.
It's a sad situation, a way they getting rich off us.
The Alabama Department of Corrections farms out incarcerated people to work at hundreds of private companies and government agencies across the state.
McDonald's, Burger King, Golden Corral, Wendy's. They got a Wendy's contract right now. State Trooper's office.
They'll send everybody everywhere.
They'll send you everywhere. Yes, the parole office.
And even though ADOC trusts these incarcerated people to leave prison every day and work alongside the general public, many of them are still denied the chance at real freedom.
I work for y'all, but when I come up for parole, you deny me. Why would you deny me? Because you're getting free service.
The consensus is A, we must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. And that is, unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. You're looking at the fellow who was one of the primary architects of the Sentencing Commission. You know what the basic premise of the Sentencing Commission is? I know the presiding officer knows. It was the first time in 80 years we rejected the notion that the condition of sentencing must be related to how long it would take to rehabilitate. I'm the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time.
Greetings from the east, the north, to south. In this wicked-ass place. The topic, slavery under the new system. The questions, why you think the ideology of slavery will never die for the European nations. Let's get into it. I am your host. I am the one.
1, 2. You know, I really got to get straight into this right here. When I seen this story this morning, I was not surprised at all. I wasn't surprised. But the thing about these good Christian devils, their system of incarcerating people just won't die. Because they supposedly, I think it's 1863, Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and supposedly that ends slavery. But these devils, they don't want it to die. So they come up with these clever schemes to mass incarcerate as many black people as they possibly can because of the 13th Amendment. They put the little loophole in. So what's happening right now is they decide they're going to keep you in prison. And it's a terrible system. And even if you try to do what's best, you try to do the right things, you try to follow the law as best as you can. There are a lot of males, black males, and black females in prison. This is why I can't understand the separation between a black man and a black woman. Because I can tell you straight out, they hate us equally. But we can't get our sisters on the same page. Of course, I'm pretty sure they'll say, well, the brothers can't get on the same page or will not get on the same page. But that's another topic. The states of the northern states and the southern states, we have the same problem. We have the same problem nationwide. In the South, I heard horror stories about the prison system. Angola and Louisiana, and of course the Alabama prison systems. Lord forbid if you out in California. I mean, I heard all types of wild stories about the prison system. It's scary for me. Now, a lot of these young men, they do stupid stuff until they get locked down. And then they wake up. Of course, it's too late. Because the House of Pain is no joke. Now, the rap artists, they glamorize something that's not to be glamorized, but they do it anyway. And this false notion of gangster life, but there's a price you must pay. Now, this story, I really want to play certain segments of this video. It is a very scary system, but under the vice president, she helped push this program forward. Of course, we already know about Joe Biden. Joe Biden, there's no secret about him. It's no secret about Bill Clinton. There's no secret. As a matter of fact, everybody, all your elected officials will, let's put it this way, they are playing a certain role in this to keep the prison industrial complex moving. Of course, that's big money. They're not going to let it go. They're just not going to let it go. It's too much money involved. And I heard a man, I think I'm going to try to play that video too, that most Americans, we don't want to work no more because of the low pay, the raggedy treatment. It goes on and on and on. And we don't want to work no more. So this good Christian devil and his think tanks, he realized that. Of course, the first victims will be, of course, the black man and the black woman. They're going to lock us up. You can't get around it. This system is so wicked. And you will really never hear anyone speak up and stand up against it. I know President Donald Trump had a prison reform thing when he was in office. Now, of course, when you're a part of the system, you're not going to change it. But he did attempt to do something. But, in the long run, I mean, it is what it is. They got a system that they're not going to change. I'm not going to hold you, but please take a look at this story. If you're a black man or a black woman, you are in danger, And of course, a good Christian white man and a good Christian white woman, they don't want to work no more. That's the thing. But they're going to force us to work one way or the other. And for blacks, males and females, they'll put you in a prison system and you'll have free labor. Eventually, this is going to blow up because after a while, people are just not going to take it no more. Once you continue to push, eventually it's going to be an explosion. Now, the Japanese had something back during the Second World War, and they were called kamikazes. Just look it up. Because eventually, when you got nothing to lose, you will lose it. So please watch this segment in the next video.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were two of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. Senator Harris, your response?
This is simply not true. And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I am proud of the work we did, work that has received national recognition for what has been the important work of reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades. It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling.
Thank you, Senator.
I did the work as Attorney General of putting body cameras on special agents in the state of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congressman.
One of the unique things about this state, and really the country, is that things just never end. They evolve. If your prison system is full, it's primarily full of black folks, black men, and you have a racial disparity in who gets released and who doesn't. Can you imagine the optics of what that labor force looks like?
Black people account for just over a quarter of Alabama's total population, but more than 50% of the prison population. An AL.com investigation found that black men were 25% less likely to get parole than white men.
If you could take a picture of a group of men who are working convict labor decades ago and juxtapose that next to a current labor force, it would probably look the same. It kind of appears that there is a coordinated system in order to protect the labor that's created by the prison system.
Walk into a McDonald's in Alabama, and the worker flipping your McDouble could be an incarcerated person.
It's a sad situation, a way they getting rich off us.
The Alabama Department of Corrections farms out incarcerated people to work at hundreds of private companies and government agencies across the state.
McDonald's, Burger King, Golden Corral, Wendy's. They got a Wendy's contract right now. State Trooper's office.
They'll send everybody everywhere.
They'll send you everywhere. Yes, the parole office.
And even though ADOC trusts these incarcerated people to leave prison every day and work alongside the general public, many of them are still denied the chance at real freedom.
I work for y'all, but when I come up for parole, you deny me. Why would you deny me? Because I got free, because you're getting free service.
The state takes a 40% cut of every incarcerated worker's wages off the top, before taxes, plus an additional $5 a day for van rides to and from work, $15 a month for laundry, and then any restitution and court fees.
If your check is $636, you might see two something out of that. And that's every 2 weeks. And you done work 80 hours and only seen $200. Like it makes you lose motivation, because you know money motivates people, especially working, so it kind of makes you lose motivation.
One estimate calculated that the state of Alabama enjoys a benefit of more than $450 million a year off of prison labor.
And it's slavery all the way around the board, just slavery.
One of the biggest misconceptions about slavery that's taught in high school, if taught at all, is that the North had no participation in slavery. What's happening today is happening all over this country. Every single state, northern states, southern states, West Coast, East Coast, have the same ideology. The same philosophy. Lock them up. Whether you're innocent or guilty. Now the guilty, those that's committing crimes, they deserve to be locked up. But the problem with that is they lump us all in the same category. There are many, many blacks, males and females, in prison unjustly. They're being mistreated, treated like slaves, not being paid. And it's done, I guess the word is systemically. If I got the word wrong, look the word up and correct me. But the point is this, it's all the way across the board. They're doing the same thing in every single state, county, municipality, and on and on and on. And the people in the higher government, the federal government, know exactly what's going on. And guess what? They're doing nothing to stop it. If they can reinstitute slavery tomorrow, they will do it today. That's how wicked these people are, because they're doing nothing to stop it. They know what they're doing is illegal, but yet they continue to do the same thing. I got the final two clips, and I'm going to conclude.
Alabama has one of the most overcrowded and deadly prison systems in the United States. Even the Justice Department found conditions there to be unconstitutional. In 2023, almost a person a day died in Alabama prisons, which is almost 5 times the national average.
They might get beat to death. People beating folks with sticks. They breaking broomsticks, making little billy clubs. People in there stabbing each other. People in there doing drugs. People in there almost about to die. They're not giving you no nursing assistance. The nurse probably get there, you probably be dead.
But ADOC offers people in prison with nonviolent misdemeanor convictions a potentially life-saving deal. If they join the work release program, they get to live in special facilities that are generally much less dangerous than regular prisons. They spend their days working in the free world without prison supervision, and they can earn 72-hour passes to visit their families at home.
If you go.
And unlike free world workers, incarcerated workers can't just get a shift covered or quit.
ADOC has a list of rules that all incarcerated people are expected to abide by. Rules like don't have contraband, be in your bunk at the required time, and rules like don't refuse to work. That's a rule on the books.
CJ Sandley is one of the attorneys behind a recent lawsuit filed against ADOC.
The range of punishments folks can face if they get written up for refusing to work include solitary confinement, losing access to phones, tablets, visitation, access to their families and loved ones for like 30 days, 60 days. Being required to do more work inside the prison walls for free, under threat of punishment.
I want to talk to my family. I want to be a part of my family, and you're telling me that if I don't go and do what you want me to do at these jobs, work as hard as they want me to do, if they need me 7 days, you want me to go there 7 days. If they need me 80 hours, you want me to work 80 hours. If they want me to turn around and come back and do a double, you want me to get up and you want me to be available to do all this. But if I decide I'm tired, Lord forbid if we got sick.
I talked to Reginald Burrell, who was injured when an entertainment center fell on his head at the private furniture manufacturing company where he worked through ADOC. When he spoke up about it, he was fired.
And, I confronted the JPO about it, and they shipped me to Childersburg with extra duty, taking away my privileges, and I ended up in a landfill. I just got assaulted and mistreated at this job, and now I'm in a landfill working for free for a multi-million-dollar company.
One of the most.
He's leading the fight to reform the state's prison system.
It is a completely broken system. The folks in charge, the parole board, they don't use guidelines. There is no methodology applied to it.
Alabama has some of the lowest parole grant rates in the country.
And more than 90% of the time, hearing this answer.
Denied, 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 be denied. Parole will be denied.
If the parole board followed its own guidelines, it would grant parole in about 80% of cases. But instead, that number dropped to just 8% last year. And incarcerated people in the work release program don't fare much better.
I know that there are people at the Department of Corrections, they assess them, and then they say, you are not a threat. So much so, you can leave here and go work. Some people actually go home for 72 hours on a weekend and are told, we trust you to the point where you do whatever you gotta do. We'll see you Monday morning, 8 o'clock. That same person goes before the parole board and they say, what you did 20 years ago is so bad we can't let you out. You're a threat to public safety, but make sure you're at work tomorrow morning.
This is such a disgrace. You would think that our elected officials take this more seriously, our selected officials, because they're not even elected. The powers to be upstairs decide who's going to be what. Your next president, your senator, your prosecutors. All those major decisions are made from upstairs. A lot of us, we think like, oh yes, we've elected our next president. No, you didn't. No, the people upstairs elect who they want in office. Now, the ADOC, I wanted people to understand that was the Alabama Department of Corrections. They kept saying that same term throughout the video. That's the Alabama Department of Corrections. That's what that is. And one more thing before I get up out of here. Biden and Harris, during the first election, when Vice President Biden was vice president. Now, during that debate, you would think those two were enemies. One of the games they really play on us is they allow us to think that these people are enemies. No, they're one and the same. They are one and the same. So the 1994 crime bill implemented by Joe Biden and carried out by Miss Harris, Kamala Harris. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But he set the bill in place. She criticized the bill, but yet she used the same bill to incarcerate many, many blacks. I'm up out of here. I am your host. I am the one. Thank you for watching.